I really hope they take the Skybreaker away. That shit is dumb.
My name is Holly. Welcome to another week of 368GG Reviews. I'm here with my co-host.
Narz, of course. And as we said before, we have a very special episode today for you guys. We're super excited that not only we're going to be talking about the new Hyperscape game by Ubisoft, we're going to bring in the one, the only, the amazing Reggie. Ah, Reggie. Love you.
What's up, guys? Welcome
So we
back.
decided to bring somebody on that had a more competitive view of the game. We've been watching Reggie stream the last couple of days, and she is, to say the least, very scary with her Hyperscape game. She comes to dominate. Former Mixer partner, current Twitch partner. She streams a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but mostly Battle Royale. How long have you been playing Hyperscape, Reggie?
I've been playing since the first day that drops were available. So I wasn't a founder, but as soon as I found out that you could get it just by watching Hyperscape streams on Twitch, I immediately jumped on it and got myself the game and just couldn't put it down since then.
Oh my God. Narz and I have only been playing since Sunday, which is when the game officially entered
Mhm.
open beta. It was previously an alpha invitation only. Ubisoft handed out a couple of codes to some prominent streamers and members of the community, and then they got to give some to their friends. And then the rest of us had to watch for drops, similar to what Riot did with Valorant. And
Mhm.
it was quite successful because the hype for the game was built. And then on Sunday, it became free, ready to play for everybody to download and participate in the open beta. So, what were your first impressions of this game when you first started playing, Reggie?
So my first impression of the game was it definitely stood out as a BR compared to a lot of other BRs. Compared to games like Call of Duty, for example, or Warzone, it's not just a matter of who sees the other enemy first. It's not about, who has the best aim necessarily. Um, Hyperscape introduces abilities or hacks, as they call it, and it basically, I think, adds like a really really good outplay potential, something similar to what Fortnite had, and that's what Fortnite stood out for with building. Right when building was implemented, it added like this whole new thing with BRs. It's not just a matter of who has the best aim anymore. It's whoever could build better, whoever could edit better. So I think that that made me very optimistic for Hyperscape, having the outplay ability.
That's a great point, because that was something that I had mentioned before. I do believe that Fortnite stood out originally because of the building aspect. It was no longer about who sees who first, which is something that we see a lot with games like Valorant, where, I mean, even when you have abilities, it's really just about who sees who first. So when
Yeah.
you start implementing these different actions in the game, you have hacks, you have mobility abilities that allow you to do really crazy things, and then it really opens the door for what's possible for gameplay. So there's a lot about this game that makes it really unique. Nars, why don't you tell us a little bit about how your first impressions of the game?
Now, obviously, the game is like really futuristic. It's a loot infused, fast paced battle royale. The whole environment is called Neo Arcadia. It reminds me a lot of like Dot Hack or SAO when I really think about this whole virtual city and how they have like this competition called the Crown Rush as the major source of entertainment. And obviously, like you're parkouring everywhere on the walls, across the walls, which is where I have the most trouble with because I come from like a very Valorant and League of Legends kind of like background. But then it's like it's very fun to see, but God, is it hard to keep up with? And so it's like I think I may have a hard time with this game. I played it; it's a lot of fun, but I feel like with the visual effects, there's a lot going on. Obviously, like every sector of Neo Arcadia is kind of like something that you see in like a rehashed Ubisoft asset, whether it's Notre Dame from Assassin's Creed, Unity, or like if it's something from like any of the other Assassin's Creed games. They haven't even confirmed or deny if they're actually assets that have been rehashed, but visually appealing. There's a lot to it. I know that I personally had issues with the graphics, so I had to like change the color correction. They do have a warning that when you play the game game, like anyone that has issues with like lights and seizures and stuff like that, or just like if someone is colorblind, that they have to be able to like go into the graphics and change it. I had to do that because I have that component. But I mean, it's visually pretty, but I know you had some preconceptions that I really want to know. So spill the tea, spill the tea.
I think this game is kind of, there are parts of this game that are so pretty and then parts of this game that are so ugly. I think that the cinematic trailer, I don't know if Zune has the cinematic trailer on deck, but when I watched it the first time, I was blown away because it was absolutely beautiful, so nicely crafted. The graphics are stunning. And then as compared to what you see in game, it's just totally different, which is often the case with a lot of games these days. You know, the cinematic trailer isn't always like matching what the graphics of the game are, but I just feel like the difference is so stark, and that's fine. I just feel like there's a lot of choices that were made, especially with like the characters. I just feel like, especially with the character design, they missed so much. I feel like there's no distinction between the characters. They all have, you know, the same outfit unless you unlock like the different skins for them. There was a Twitch Prime skin that was available for one of the characters, but it still looks exactly identical to what she already wears. There's just a lot about it that's very forgettable. I mean, aside from the characters' personal appearances, there's nothing that distinguishes them from the other characters. Every character that you play, you have the same number of abilities or the same number of guns. Like you have the same options for everything. So there's nothing that distinguishes them from one another, and they don't have anything that like is memorable about them. So that was like a huge negative for me when I was playing the game, because I'm someone that just needs to immediately connect with characters. And I was like, huh, it just feels like I can just, you know, pick the character that I think looks the nicest, and then that's pretty much it. So, how do you feel about the characters, Reggie? Like, what, you've spent so much time in this game, you must have like some favorites at this point.
Yeah, so yeah, kind of like what you were saying. I feel like a lot of them do they look very, very generic. I think hopefully in the long run they're gonna add more cosmetics into the game. Like there's already a couple in the shop, and I think the shop resets every day. So here and there you see a couple, and I know maybe if they had like exclusives, that would kind of like incentivize people to get some more. But the biggest thing is it's not third person, so you don't even get to see your character. And most of the time, right? And like a lot of stuff is going on in the game too, so you may not be able to pay attention too much to weapon skins. And you know, I've seen some really cool like your melee weapon. Like there's one that's like a sword, there's one that looks like a dagger. Like those are really
Mhm.
cool because you can see it. But when it comes to the characters themselves, like you don't get to see it. Only other players do, right? So maybe if there was something, maybe, you know, customizable voice lines, even things to give the characters more individuality, more personality, besides just appearance, right? I think that would let people relate to the characters some more and actually think about what character that they choose, like which character they choose,
Something that
stuff
I
like.
thought that could be something that they could possibly implement in the future would be the option, that every character has a specific proficiency with a specific hack. Like maybe one character gets a buff
Oh,
when they use like the teleport, or they're specifically good at using the shields, or they get more value out of using the mine. And that could be something that, you know, it affects people's choices going forward, especially when they're building a team. It could add a level of meta to the game that isn't there. I mean, like there's obviously meta in the game, but it could add another layer of meta to the game, where when people are building, you know, like when you're playing Valorant, most people are like, oh, we should use these two characters because they have such great synergy together. That could
mhm.
offer a new layer of, you know, different gameplay for players in the future, because it's like, oh, why don't we use your character and my character, because your character gets great value out of shields, mine gets great proficiency in mines, and then we can use this to our advantage, and we can, you know, go in and then escape from a situation or team fights, disengage quickly, but we can still pack a punch while we're in there. So that's something that I feel like maybe they could implement, but I would just love to see more utility out of the characters individually. What
Yeah.
do you think, Nars?
I don't know. I feel like if they did do that, it'd be similar too much like Apex. I mean, we see a lot of similarities with the weapons, which we'll go into later today. And I think the reason why they allowed hacks to be able to be something like completely separate from the characters is because they didn't want to literally be exactly like Apex, where like if you were playing Lifeline, you were a support, or if you were playing, you know, Gibraltar, you were a tank. I think they kind of allowed it that every single character could just kind of like be an avatar, and that like the I guess like the player's personal play style will come into to affect no matter who they wanted to be. You know, because if you want to be lifeline, but then you want to go tanky, you don't have that opportunity. But with this game, you can be whatever avatar you want, and then pick kind of like the playstyle that really vibes with your kind of like what you personally really like. So I don't know, like I feel like, and it also gives you the opportunity to be super creative. Like you could be able to fuse with the opportunity with fusing a lot of the same duplicates that you see, you can be able to have a hybrid of different types of play style, and just like that creates more opportunities for different kind of like combinations. And then later on, when Ubisoft said that they were going to be releasing more hacks and more guns, like that just expands on that kind of opportunity. And if you're thinking about a squad of 3, like there's infinite possibilities. So I kind of like the fact they didn't add like some of the abilities to some of the characters. I think it's really cool that they made it separate. My big quorum with this entire thing is the fucking lobby. I hate the lobby. I'm sorry. Like I don't understand why can't I just like get in, like when I play the game, I just want to have like a UI like feed that, if I want to check out the news and updates, if I want to check out the battle pass, if I want to start playing, I could do that. I don't want to have to walk around in a physical lobby to do anything. And it's like, even if you're staying still in one area and you want to go to your squad, you have to be close to the squad icon to even like squad up, or if you want to check out your locker, like I feel like that can be removed. We don't necessarily need that. A UI interface is totally fun. Like I get they're trying to be like Ready Player One-ish, and they want to make it seem like you're in a very virtual city, virtual world, but fuck that. Just let me play the game. Like if I want to, give me the option to do that. But if I don't want to, just take it out. Like just allow me the option to just take it out.
I actually like the interactive
it.
home screen. I think it was very fun. Oh my God. Do I just have ADHD? And that was like the greatest thing for me because it just gives me a way to fidget. I like it. Do you like the home screen, Reggie?
Yeah, I actually like running around, if your friends are taking like, because coming from Fortnite, and with how much you do, like, there's creative in Fortnite. I always wish that the lobby was like that, where you could just, run around, maybe even build while you're waiting for your teammates to finish, like get back from the bathroom because they're taking so long. Right? So in Hyperscape, you can kind of do that, you can just run around. There's actually a neat little trick. So I actually didn't realize this until a couple days ago, but if you look at, for example, the store, you don't have to walk there. You can just look at it, and as long as your cursor's on it, you can like press whatever your use button is. F is what I use, and it just opens it up.
Well, there you go, Narz. You don't even have to walk.
Yeah, you don't have to walk towards it anymore. Yeah.
I mean, even still, I would just prefer to have everything right in front of me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have to, like, I would like to like not have to like move the different direction and angle.
Yeah.
Just let me just get into the game, so that way. And also, even if like you wanted to just try out, like go into your locker, you can go into your locker and then quickly, like if you're waiting for the next game, you can just do that easily. I don't feel like there should be any sort of hiccups with that.
Well, it's one of the things that definitely does make the game stand out as unique. And I feel like Ubisoft definitely made a lot of choices for this game that made it stand out. I think they realized that there are a lot of battle royales in the market right now. Everybody's trying to jump on that hype train while there's still hype to be had, I suppose. And one of those things that I think, which I really wanted to talk about, was the mechanics in the game that make it stand out. One of them specifically, which I do have a link to one of my streams, was the restore system. So instead of getting eliminated when you die in this game, you actually become an echo version of yourself, which allows you to scout ahead for your team. You can still move around the environment. You can't interact with anything, and you lose all of your items, but it also allows you to see restore points in the area, which are places on the map where other players have died. And if you and one of your teammates interacts with it simultaneously, they can actually restore you back into the game. This obviously comes with great risk, because in order for your teammate to do that, they are immobile for a certain amount of time. It leaves them very vulnerable. And usually in these areas where you find restore points are where obviously people have died and there are still enemies nearby. So you're really assessing the risk every time you go to find a restore point. But I think it adds a very interesting element to the game. And I think it's, it's not quite the gulag, but it is something that is different than just getting the womp womp death screen. And then you get to spectate your teammates for the rest of the round, which is no fun for me personally. That wasn't very fun when I was playing PUBG. What do you think about the restore mechanic, Reggie? How has that like affected your experience when playing the game?
So I actually think the restore mechanic is very interesting. Like you said, compared to other games, you're not just stuck spectating. Even other games that have restore systems, usually you're spectating until they get over there and restore you. But here you can actually do a lot while you're in your echo form once you've been eliminated. A lot of times, if I get downed, my teammates can do a lot with the information that I can provide them. Let's say they're trying to escape somebody, or let's say they need to finish someone off that's only 1 health. I can literally follow that enemy around and say, like, look, they're over here, just come get them. Like it's not just spectating you, but you can literally scout for your team and make all these call outs. But at the same time, it also adds an additional risk for your teammates when they're trying to res you, because you have to remember that other downed players can now see your teammates and scout for their live teammates, right? So
Yeah.
you could be trying to resurrect at a spot, and then someone else is also there telling their teammates to come over and res them. So while you're holding F for however many seconds it takes to resurrect somebody, you could be getting sniped at, right? So that they can take the spot. So it's definitely very interesting. A lot of people have been saying that maybe, all downed players should be able to see other downed players, right? So not only can you see your own teammates, what if you could see the downed teammates of other teams? Then it would like change everything.
That would be very interesting because
Mhm.
that would add like another element. I think that could add a very sneaky element of like,
Yeah.
oh guys, let's go over here, let's check it out. And there were so many times too where I would be waiting at a restore point, I'm ready, and then I see an enemy come up and I'm like, wait, what are you doing? And then they bring their teammate back and they totally snipe my restore point. And I'm like, man, and the next one is like 180 meters away, and I'm like, man, this sucks. What did you think about the restore mechanic, Nars? Like, how do you feel about, not being totally out of the game? You have a second chance.
I mean, I like that just because like Apex doesn't necessarily have that. Valorant doesn't have that. Call of Duty has it with the Goulash, which I think it's pretty interesting. The only thing like with this particular restore system is that I think you can only be within a certain range before you can actually see the restore system. So like if there's one not in your area, you have to actually go the distance to be able to like find another restore point. I think it would be interesting if like everybody could see the echoes, including like either like the enemy teammates or just like the echoes can see like other echoes. I think that would add another element to it. But then there's like this like kind of like push and pull where it's like, should you go find another restore system to be able to do it, or do you want to help your teammates? So there's like that kind of like you have to be able to be synchronized with your teammates to figure out what's going to be the next step, because if you're in a chaotic fight and you're getting third party by someone else, you don't want to have to be jumping to a restore point when it's not the best time to do that. So it's like it adds another element to this entire game that I think is really ingenious, and probably something that they probably thought a while, because like we don't want people to just be out, because these games are way too fast. They're absolutely way too fast. But if you can give an opportunity for your teams to come back, especially people who've never played this before, but like when you first jump in, you don't necessarily realize this. You're kind of just like looking around like, oh, I'm dead. Oh, this is cool. I'm just going to run around and follow these people. And then you kind of like forget, oh, I have to go to a restore system. I have to go to a restore point. And I don't know. I feel like it's a really cool thing. I want them to add more to it. I think it would be really cool if they had other echoes see each other. But I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was really cool.
So that's like the one of the things that I think that makes this game so unique. There's another thing that I think makes this game unique as a battle royale, which is that it has super crazy mobility. You can do some crazy parkour shit when you play this game. Everybody comes with a double jump. There are in-game events that are like zero gravity or extra double jump, or you get these abilities that let you teleport, or it turns you into a big ball that you can bounce around the map. There is such high energy mobility, and a lot of the fights that you engage with in this game end up actually being aerial fights because everybody has the ability to go super high up in the air. We're jumping on rooftops, and it kind of makes it almost impossible to camp or stay in one place because you have to learn how to adapt and move around and to keep getting the better sightline on your enemy, because that's constantly changing. So my question for you, Reggie, is like, how has the mobility aspect of this game been different from other battle royales you've played? Do you like it? And like, how has that affected your gameplay?
It's definitely super fast paced. I mean, it's almost every day you get somebody in chat saying, "I can't even keep up. Like I don't even know what's going on because of how fast it is." And it definitely is super fast paced. I agree with what you said that a lot of the fights are aerial. A lot of times, you're jumping up in the air and you just catch a glimpse of someone, trying to heal or sneaking up on top of a building, and that's when you get, those crazy midair snipes, right? So it really is super fast paced. And even if it's on the ground, like people are zipping, like the movement speed of these characters are so fast. Like they could go in and out of buildings. You're chasing someone up a staircase, out a window. You hear something break. Next thing you know, they're flying up in the air, teleporting back down. It's ridiculous. It's crazy, but it makes it. It definitely wakes you up. If this is the kind of game that you play when you first wake up, you don't even need a warm up because the first game will warm you up.
There's so many moments where it's like you think you have somebody and then they'll pop a hack and they'll just like
Yeah.
totally be out of your light of sight, and you're just like, oh my God, where did they go? Like, what just happened? It's really hard for me to keep up because I mean, I obviously love playing games like Valorant where I mean, you're in a smaller enclosed area and it's easier for you to anticipate where your enemy might be or where they might be coming from because there's only so many ways you can go. Hyperscape is such a huge map to begin with. It is such a massive map, and there are so many nooks and crannies, corners around which your enemies could be hiding, or rooftops where they could be waiting with their sniper rifle. So there's so much potential for things to go so left, no matter where you are. You could think you're fine, and you'll be restoring your enemy, and then all of a sudden you'll start getting shot at, and you're like, where is that coming from? And it's because the mobility that this game affords you allows you to get new angles on enemies and for team fights that is like insane. And that's something that I think this game has potential for going forward in the competitive aspect. I mean, even for a spectator watching this, I would be so thrilled to watch some kind of like competitive level tournament with this game where you're starting to see team fights unfold that would be unprecedented for other games such as Apex, because you're allowed to do such crazy parkour Assassin's Creed shit that you can, pull stuff out of the bag that everybody's like going nuts, like, oh my God, can you believe that play? Like, I can't believe that they thought to use their hacks this way, or they thought to, go this way. And, I feel like there's so much potential for crazy moves in the competitive aspect for this game. What do you think, Narz?
I'm definitely gonna say that because of the high skill play with this game, it makes it very difficult for people to coming into this. There's a steep learning curve for sure. So snipers and campers are not going to work in this game. If you have sniped and capped your way to perfection or pro player, this is not going to be the game for you. That's for sure. And like I feel like this game puts me in my place because I cannot seem to catch up at all, especially when it comes to the high skill play. The generous squad revival system is amazing, and obviously with the invisibility hacks and the parkour, I feel like it's so cool to watch, but then when you're playing it for the first time, you have absolutely no idea what's going on. It's like you're incapable to process everything that's happening. Everything's so visually stimulating. Also, like in addition to having destroyed like the walls to just go into some of these buildings to find the hacks, and then like obviously there are some like high intense areas that if you go, you're automatically going to be dropping with like 5 other squads. Because they offer that ability. It's like when you're dropping, you can drop like you're not dropping fast enough where you can literally go anywhere in the map. So if you see a bunch of people going somewhere, or even just one person going really far off, you can be like, I'm gonna fuck with this person. I'm just gonna go and follow them and fuck them up, and I'm just gonna find the hacks and kill them. And I feel like just like it really caters to anyone's playstyle. If you're a tank, you can get slam or bounce and mix it with armor, and then just use like a mammoth and just do so much damage and just be super beefy. You can do track and invisibility, so you can track people by revealing their locations. You can do armor and heal and do like a minigun. You can do tele or slam, and then it's like there's so many different combos that it really is up to somebody's playstyle. But there isn't that opportunity where you can practice or like and I feel like the hardest part about this game is just the agility part. It's the parkouring part. Like I feel like half the time I'm just slapping against the wall because I didn't either jump appropriately or I jumped too late, or like seeing other people. Like when I see Reggie play, you're like water. You're like water. You're just going all over the place. You're jumping. You're going on top of rooftop. You're using like I feel like that idiot grandma like that's like trying to jump on the damn button and just like beat me up. I need to jump, but it's like it gets sniped and I'm like, oh fuck shit, or I get caught like in some corner or on top of the roof, and it's like when I see this, it's like this is not the. If you had trouble playing Fortnite with the whole building aspect, this game is not for you, because those are the type of people that have the hardest trouble with Hyperscape. But if you were really good at like Fortnite and building and being able to cross between building and shooting, and you were really good at that, this game may be just like the next level up to like better your performance as like a competitive player or just like a really good battle royale player. That's my opinion when it comes to just the mechanics. And I think it's like amazing that they've able to implement this. It's hard for someone with my skill cap because it's like super fucking low. Like
Oh no.
So
really
Reggie,
fucking low.
Reggie, do you think that this game is let's say, what word will I use here? Welcoming to new players. Like, do you think it's easy for someone as a new player to try and pick up, or are they gonna get dunked on like every game for the first like 2 weeks?
I think so right now I don't believe there's any skill-based matchmaking. So definitely if you were to run into someone who's what I would think is someone that came from Apex specifically, I think it's very much like Apex with like the fast pace, jumping and just like sliding all over the place, all these random abilities that you could use to get you up in the air, back into the ground. Um Definitely those people are going to have the advantage. So anyone that's coming from particularly non-BR games. So if you're coming from Valorant, for example, or maybe even Fortnite, if you never really got too far into it, it's gonna take some getting used to. But if you're ever playing with a squad, like you said, the restoring feature is very, very forgiving. I think it's really, really nice how you can bring players back super easily. There's no time limit on an echo. You can literally be eliminated in the beginning of the game and then be restored at the end of the game if your teammates happen to survive all the way till then. And at the same time, when it comes to picking up new equipment and abilities again, you don't have to farm trees for 10 minutes. You can literally just pick stuff up off the ground that other people didn't need because of uh, people being limited to only, two abilities and two weapons, right? So there's always going to be loot everywhere. So I always felt that from the beginning of the game and to the end, it's almost like a marathon, it's not a matter of building up because if you were to be resurrected, you can easily pick up, like a maxed out max fusion ability or upgraded weapon if there happens to be one near you, right? Or let's say an enemy was eliminated nearby.
So you brought up a great point about the matchmaking system for this game, and it's that there's no real skill-based matchmaking right now. That's actually one of the things that I would love to see from this game is if they
Mhm.
could implement some kind of skill-based matchmaking system. Because I was watching Seagull play this game, and that was one of the biggest gripes that he had about this game as well. Because he was like, I got put into a game with like a ton of brand new people, and I ended up killing like 26 people. And when he was playing this in alpha, that was like in alpha games, there were really only about 50 people to a lobby, rather than now there's usually about 99 people to a lobby, which is, 33 squads of three. And then, so if he was killing 26 people, that's half the lobby, one person on one team. Like, he was like, that should not ever be possible. He's like, I can't believe that I was able to get away with so much. So clearly there is some balancing work to be done with this game. I also feel like there's some balancing work to be done with some of the weapons too. I would like to talk to you guys about the weapons and what weapons you prefer. The Hexfire, which was the Gatling gun, I believe, was the one that just got a recent nerf because it was doing crazy damage. So what's everybody's favorite gun that they use, and what do you think absolutely needs a nerf?
So my favorite loadout so far, and I run this everywhere, is I take the shotgun and the new SMG that they added during
The
the open
Harpy.
beta, the Harpy. Yeah, so that gun is I think I'm enjoying it while it lasts because I have a feeling it's gonna get nerfed like the Hexfire did. In the alpha test, I loved rocking the Hexfire. That thing was insane. Like DPS, never having to reload because there was just so much ammo in a single mag. It was
Mhm.
just crazy. And I feel the same way for the Harpy. I think the Harpy right now is better than the Ripper. It's better than the Hexfire for sure. Um, and just pairing it with the shotgun is it's crazy. I just love it.
How about you, Nars? What do you like to run?
I'll tell you what I don't like to run because I fucking hate this gun with all my heart. I hate the Skybreaker. I really hope they take the Skybreaker away. That shit is dumb. Okay, first of all, it takes forever for it to load. It's an electrical energy cannon, and it's a single shell, meaning that you shoot and then you gotta fucking reload. Like, get out of here! I don't got time for that shit. Everything's so fast paced. Who got time to reload? So fuck that. I always go for the Ripper because it reminds me of the
My
301
favorite.
carbine, and
My
that's my
favorite.
favorite gun. Fuck it, but like the Carmine's my favorite gun. The Ripper has the same sort of handling. I love it so much. The Mammoth is totally good. It reminds me of the Mastiff in Apex, which is great. So I always kind of like rock either like the Ripper or either the Harpy. If I get the Harpy is a really really good weapon to have. But yeah, I fucking hate the Skybreaker. I really hope that they take that fucking gun out. And I don't know if like I was gonna ask you this, Reggie. Do you think that snipers are like should they even be bothered in this game? Like should they really be in this game at all, or do you think that sniper adds like another element, or the sniper or the protocol adds another element to the game, or at least like playstyle?
Oh, 100% they should be in the game. I think at times I feel like they can be a little overpowered at times because they're hit scan, meaning there's no drop. You know, it doesn't matter if they're 10 meters in front of you or 400 meters in front of you. You click your mouse or uh, that bullet's just gonna hit them, right? As long as your crosshairs are on them, and that actually lets you snipe people who aren't full health pretty easily. I mean, as long as you can hit your shots, like you can steal a kill from however far you need to be and however far they need to be. And I think that's pretty crazy. I think snipers might get nerfed as well because of just how insane they are. But again, it is very dependent on your aim, right? And with events like low gravity, for example, that is the perfect opportunity to, get that really good snipe clip. And it's actually easier, in my opinion, to hit a shot that's in the air than someone that's, zipping around unpredictably on the ground. Is when they're flying up in the air or they accidentally slam up during low gravity and they're slowly floating down. That's when you really need to be careful because there could be a lot of snipers looking at you. Right?
And there's a lot of opportunity for snipers to take their position in this game because just because the game allows you to go up so high and in such crazy places. And if you pair those with your abilities, if you use it to like teleport to a place where you technically shouldn't even be, that gives you crazy good places to be able to see other enemies. I was actually going to mention that, like talking about my favorite guns and my favorite loadouts, I definitely don't think that the protocol needs to be a hit scan because I just don't think that there, just call me crazy. I just don't think there should be a hit scan sniper rifle in a battle royale game. I think that there needs to be some level of either damage drop off or some level of latency when you're shooting because there were actually many times, I think if you guys watched one of the promos for this week, I was on a rooftop, I was looting with my team, and literally in the blink of an eye, not even the blink of an eye, half of a blink of an eye, I was gone. And I was like, what just happened out of nowhere? And I still have no idea where that guy was sniping from because he could have been a million miles away, but it doesn't matter because it's hit scan. So all he had to do was just get me in his sights and then I was toast. So I definitely feel like, as Reggie said, they have to nerf the protocol next. Like there's no way that they don't. But I'm certainly a ripper girl myself. I like running the auto. I like rifles myself, especially when I play Valorant. I usually run either the Spectre or the Vandal when I can afford it. So the second I saw the rifle in this game, I was like, yes, this is my gun. Let's go. And so I usually run that with either the shotgun or I like to find some kind of SMG. But there have been so many times where when you mentioned the Skybreaker, Narz, where I didn't realize that I picked up the Skybreaker. There was one time specifically where I didn't realize that I picked up the Skybreaker and it was in the like this tiny area and an enemy came in and I was like, oh my God. And I like tried to shoot and I was like, why isn't this shooting? And then I realized it's because I had the freaking grenade launcher, like energy weapon bullshit that's like one around. And if you miss them, that's it. And of course I died. So what can you do then except pull out the baton, right?
I know, right? Just beat them to death. Trying to.
That thing is actually.
I had a highlight like that too. I beat this guy. He literally, I think he actually had a hex fire, and he was like, and I was like, oh really? I just walked right up to him. I was like, bah, that's it, you're done. And then I'm sure he was very shocked that I was able to.
With the Skybreaker?
No, he had the hex fire. I'm pretty sure. Like he was using like a really like big like heavy machine gun, and I was like, actually, I'm just gonna whack you instead.
Actually, I'm just gonna on your head.
So clearly the guns need some work. Ubisoft, please take notes. I would like to talk about one more thing that I think makes this game so unique, and it is that I think everybody knows that one aspect of all battle royales is the idea that the area that you're playing in constantly becomes smaller as you progress through the rounds. And so I think that this game does it very interesting because in other battle royale games like Apex Legends, Fortnite, and PUBG, there's like a storm that's enclosing in a circular pattern around the map, and that can close in on one location at the end, which becomes the final battle location. In this game, however, Hyperscape chooses to instead have certain sectors on the map slowly disintegrate into nothingness. And so this happens at random, and it'll let you know as it's about to start happening. They'll say, warning, this sector is about to close. And then you look on the map and you'll see which sectors are going to be affected, and they're in red. And this is random, and it's not always sectors that are right next to each other. And I find that this is very interesting because it actually makes it harder to anticipate where the next affected areas are going to be. And I feel like it actually cuts down on the opportunity for people to camp or wait. Because something that I definitely do when I play Apex with my friends is if we see the circle closing in on a specific area, and then we're like, oh, it's going to start closing in there and then there, we'll be like, let's just wait here and wait for the people to come, and then we'll just camp and we'll reap the benefits. Definitely harder to do in this game because it gives you less opportunities for that. What do you think about the sectors, disintegrating, Reggie? Like, how has that impacted your gameplay?
It's definitely interesting. Like you said, it's super random. We've definitely had maps where, usually you're used to the map ending up in a circular shape, but there are times where, you'd have like a U-shaped map. And, let's say that if you're on that tiny piece that's like surrounded by disintegrated zones, that's eventually going to close eventually. You're going to have to like run all the way around the map, or you can choose to run through I don't know. I like to call it the void. Right? You could run through it if it's a shortcut, right? But I don't know. It's definitely interesting. It's hard to predict where it is going to end, and it makes it harder, like you said, to gatekeep, right? Because you don't know, you can't position yourself and predict where everyone's going to come from because you don't know if they're going to run around the map or they're going to be running through the void, right? So.
So how do you feel about it, Narz? Because it's definitely like a new take on the map.
It definitely is, and I feel that I agree that unpredictability also adds like another layer of like awareness that you need to play this game. And if you don't have spatial awareness, meaning you don't know where the people are, you don't know where you don't know if you're going to be in the right district, I think that really requires someone that has a lot of spatial awareness. I unfortunately do not. Like, I can shoot people and things in front of me, and I'm good with that. I think it's also pretty interesting, and I learned this from your stream, Reggie, where like if you're in a disintegrating district, you can actually walk or run through some of the buildings, and I realized that, and I was like, oh, I've been doing this whole wrong. Like, I'm here being a derp, like actually running in the streets, trying to like run to the other. Like, you just plow through these buildings, which I think adds like a really cool Ready Player One element that I think is really interesting. I've never seen that before, and I think that's really, really cool that they added that. But I have a question, Reggie. If you stay in the district too long, do you just like fall down? Is that what happens?
No, so what happens is there's a countdown and it says that the sectors are closing and then there's like a little timer, and that's when everything starts to kind of look pixelated. So everything's slowly turning into like that dark like the triangle color. And then when it actually closes, all of the buildings literally become see-through and you can just run through them. Similarly, any restoration points, any items that were there also start to disappear. So while it's in that little timer area, like the timer part, you do have to go through the building still and break windows if you need to. But yeah, once the timer ends, then everything is free reign. But that's also when you need to be careful because there's nothing to hide behind. If people are waiting for you in the zone, you're literally just like in an open, flat piece of like land that you got to be very, very careful about.
So obviously, this game keeps you on your toes. This is with both being able to have high mobility, and it's also with making sure that you're in the right areas at the right time. Because I've certainly gotten caught in the zone several times. Either if you get restored way too slow, or if you are trying to loot and then it doesn't work out for you. So it's a game that like demands hyper awareness from the players, which I think is very interesting because it adds to the high energy, fast paced feeling of the game. So there's a lot that Ubisoft clearly did when they had this game in mind because they wanted to make sure that it stood out. I think that one thing that's really interesting, I would definitely like to talk about it with you, Reggie, because this is actually how we found you, is that Twitch is actually partnered with the game, and there's an extension that you can download when you're a streamer, which allows your viewers to vote on in-game events for every single match of Hyperscape. So they can vote on what can happen, and there are certain events. There's like the zero gravity event, and the infinite ammo event, and players can, they have to adapt to these events that happen that are totally up to the viewers. And so this is something interesting that I think that Ubisoft is doing, because I think they realize that the future of battle royales and the future of making games is whether it has the ability to be streamed, and whether it has not just the ability to be streamed, but if it's interesting enough for people to watch it be streamed. And I think that this adds a certain element to it that makes people feel like they're involved in the game, even if they're not necessarily playing it. They feel like they have some say in what happens, and that increases viewer satisfaction, I guess, and the hype around, playing this game, because people are like, hey, I can change this. So I would like you to kind of explain how the crown cast system works, and how that's been going for you as the streamer, because you've been streaming quite a bit of this game. So how that's like affected not just your gameplay, but also your experience as a streamer.
I think the extension is really, really smart of them for sure. I mean, everyone knows that an interactive stream is everything, right? Being able to, even vote for something to happen to a game. I mean, I know my chat loves giving me low gravity, and I hate it because I am gonna get sniped if I jump, so I have to stay low, right? So, but it just adds like that element where people can do something, and especially coming from a mixer, people are looking for that type of interactivity, a mixed play board where you can make something happen on stream. So it's kind of that same thing. Um, Aside from that, though, you can do things like level up your battle pass just from watching a stream that has Crowncast enabled. So not a lot of people know this, but when Hyperscape comes out on console, a lot of console players feel like, oh, they're going to be so far behind. Everyone already has the battle pass. We're going to miss the beta stuff. But you can link your Ubisoft account to Twitch already and level up your battle pass without even playing the game. Right. So there are people who've played, people have said that they've played one game and they're already like tier, 10 on their battle pass, which is really cool. And it also lets you see the leaderboard. And that's a really cool feature because you can see potentially if there are other streamers in your game. Right? So you could see if someone is popping off with like 20 kills in your lobby. So to, be very careful, right? Or maybe you recognize a name, right? It could be a friend or, like a really big streamer, which is really awesome.
That's such an interesting element. Go ahead, Narz.
I think no, like when I was actually Reggie, I was watching and stalking you. Sorry, not sorry. But the interactive component on Twitch, I think it's really cool because it blurs the line between like player and spectator, because it really makes the player very much involved. Like even so, where you can, I know they're going to be rolling this out probably fairly soon, but you can then have squad invites. So you can invite people, you can invite viewers directly from your streams to your game via Uplay. And I think that's a genuine, innovative Twitch integration that's been done only once before that I've seen, which was Darwin Project, where the vote, like people would vote on like either who would get like a heal or who would get, kind of like revealed and stuff like that. And this is just another aspect of taking what was taken before, because Darwin Project, of course, it was great and it was innovative or whatever, but it didn't have kind of like the same freedom when it comes to like, you don't absolutely need viewers to be able to play the game. Unlike with Darwin Project, you can play this game by yourself, but that just adds like a bonus point where people can be able to eliminate the barriers between streamers and viewers, and it's like synonymous. And I think Ubisoft doing this is brilliant in the sense that you're going to see more and more games really try to blur the lines between I'm going to call it plectator, because it's literally a player and a spectator.
Trademark that right now.
I'm trademarking it right now. Ubisoft, call me out. Royalties, spectator. But I think it's so cool, and just the simple fact that I can level up my battle pass by just watching my favorite streamers playing Hyperscape, or that I can like really just like let's say hypothetically, Reggie, that you want that we see like I'm in your stream and I see someone else is on your stream as well. Like it becomes such a really cool dynamic opportunity where it's like I can help my friend, or I can hurt my friend, or I can hurt the other team, or I can help the other team, and it's like it really offers this kind of like again this Ready Player One competitive virtual environment where I feel like Ubisoft is going to do kind of like the same thing what Fortnite does, where they're going to try pulling people more and more from the streams because that's been the best marketing tool right now to be more engaged in the world of Neo Arcadia. They're going to have like really cool events and opportunities that are not battle royale specific, but they're going to obviously invite the casual audience into this, and that's where I think a lot of the potential lies, is inviting casual audience. So even though you may suck at this game, you can still be able to get cool skins, customizable items and stuff like that, and still be able to feel like you're a part of that community, even though you're probably not that great at the game, I guess. Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. And I think that Ubisoft realizes that there is a value in live streaming, and the value is that it comes with the interactivity with your audience. I think that if an audience member or a viewer of someone that they watched online felt like they could just watch a Let's Play, they would just watch a Let's Play. But the value of watching someone live stream comes with the interactivity element of it. You have the streamer, you're watching them live, and if you type to them, there's a chance that they could actually interact with you as well. And it creates this level of relationship between the viewer and the streamer that really creates a special bond that makes the viewer want to keep coming back. And I think that that bond can be increased if you implement more things that allow the viewer to feel like they are impacting the player's experience in the game. And that's why I think that Crowncast is such a fascinating and like crazy good idea, because I feel like if you were able to implement this in other games, there's really no limit to what we can see happen with it. I love the idea of being able to have an extension where I can invite people from my chat directly to come play with me. There are so many instances where it's like, hey guys, if you want to come play with me, like you should come play with me. Here's my username, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, wouldn't it be so easy if they could just click a button and then they could join my lobby, or they could click a button and they could add me on social? I think that would be amazing. And there were so many moments where, I mean, I was watching Crowncast, and just even being a spectator and like having a say in what could happen in the game gave me the sense of like being a spectator of the Hunger Games and being like, yes, very good, zero gravity, excellent. Like it just gives you this element of, you're really interacting with this game, and you're making something happen because of you, which is a very special feeling for a lot of viewers. They just want to feel like they are a part of the experience with the player. So I think that this extension could potentially be the beginning of a new trend for games going forward, fingers crossed, where we see more interactivity between the viewer and the player. So we'll see if that happens. But Crow calls it God mode. I don't know if that's what it should be, but I'm not mad at the name God mode.
I definitely agree with the Hunger Games vibe. I love that. I love the ability, like just knowing that the audience can just drop supply boxes for everyone. I think that's pretty awesome. And
So
I wish that more games would adopt this, like that type of integration. I think it's really interesting.
we're blurring the lines between player and spectator, as it was
Yeah.
said. So I guess, I mean, Narz, when we were talking about, run of show in this game, you had a lot to say specifically about whether you felt like this game could replace Apex, if it was the Fortnite killer. Do you think that it could really make a mark in Battle Royale? I would like to hear what both of you think about where this game stands against the other big name battle royales.
I really want to get Reggie's opinion on this, and then because I feel like I haven't played Fortnite as much as you have, and I feel like I really want to know what your perspective on this particular game. Do you think it's going to be the next big esports? Do you feel like it still needs a lot of work before it could be released? What are your thoughts, Reggie?
I think that, like I said, with the like just the outplay potential, it does have a lot of potential to go competitive, but I do think that there's a lot of balancing that needs to be done. Even just the crown mechanic itself, like I've so many times lost to just people, taking the crown and just running away, and they have 0 kills. Like, I think that's pretty crazy that somebody could just camp the
Mhm.
whole time and, just take, for example, a ball and armor, or maybe the most annoying one right now in solos is mines and armor. Mines are ridiculously overpowered. They hit you for 75, they follow you no matter what, even if you're invisible. You could have somebody taking the crown, hiding in a building, um, just hiding behind their mines. And even if you get through their mines, they pop armor, run away, and by the time the armor is done, they just mine up again, right? So there's a lot of changes that I think need to be made. Um, there are certain abilities that seem to give way, way, way too many advantages over others. So another common abilities that I've seen get used to a really, really significant advantage when it comes to defending the crown is the wall. So I don't know if you guys have seen this, but some people use walls to build up and up and up to the point where no one can get to them. So
Oh
I've seen
wow.
people take the crown. You can literally stack a
God.
wall and then you pop another wall and then you just keep going up. And anyone that tries to come at you, their teammates would just snipe you out. Like there's no way you can get up there if you don't have walls, which further, it reduces the diversity that you can have with abilities, because what this does is um it makes it so that you have to have some kind of mobility, right? To counter that, either you have to take a teleport or you have to take a slam. You can't just run something like, heal and armor that grant no mobility, right? So if only, if the abilities were balanced a little bit better so that, you can freely choose any combination and then they would be really good in their own way. Um I think it does have the potential to definitely become competitive. I think it would be really, really fun.
What do you think, Nars? You have a lot
I
to say.
I don't think this game has the potential to actually like beat Apex or Fortnite. I think it still has its training wheels on. I don't want to say it's
Mhm.
going to be the next esports. There's a lot of it that just doesn't seem to fit. I mean, there are obviously like I feel like the Hexfire is a little bit much. There needs to be a lot of balance with this, and I
Yeah.
feel like it's going to take a while for it to get there. Obviously, and like obviously they're gonna add. I feel like they're gonna add other game modes to it. I feel like that's just like inevitable. What happens to certain battle royales? They add other game modes or they add a creative mode, but I feel like they have to balance it out. I was going to ask you about that because like those two ways to play, it's either you get the crown, which is a free for all, and you have to hold on to the crown for 45 seconds, or you literally have to kill each other. And it's like, isn't a battle royale meant to be like the last person standing, not necessarily the last person standing with the dumb crown? Like I feel like that doesn't make
Exactly.
any sense. Like when you think about it as an esports, that doesn't even make any fucking sense because like especially when it comes to Fortnite, kills equates to points or some sort of like a currency or value that ultimately decides if you are number one or not. And if like that isn't predicated on actually ability, like that's not a fucking competitive scene. It's not a competitive sport. So then I don't see this absolutely being an esports because it's just like you could just be a dork and just like fucking camp with the right hacks and just go and get the crown and just run off. And I feel like that aspect of it is not a battle royale at all. And I really hope that they remove the whole crown, like the whole, like obviously the thing is called crown rush. You have to run for the crowd, but let it be that the person who has the most kills gets automatically the crown. And the only way they can be able to relinquish the crown is by someone killing that person. That would be cool. But like
Mhm.
to actually physically hold the crown, girl, bye. Mama, that's garbage.
I think that you make a very interesting point. Like perhaps the person of all the people left in the game that far, with the most kills, has some sort of advantage for getting the crown or something. Because as Reggie said before, it is kind of ridiculous that somebody could potentially just camp until the end of the game, pick up the crown, and then go on like on a wild goose chase and be just good enough at dodging people that he eventually wins. But then again, I guess it's one of those like technical wins that you hate to see it, but it happens nonetheless. I do feel like this game has a lot to balance specifically with gunplay because I feel personally that all of the gunplay, no matter what gun you're using, is so like, I mean, Siegel described it as janky, and I agree with him 100%. The gunplay does not feel as smooth as it should be, especially not when being compared to other big name battle royales such as Apex or Fortnite. They are known for having like super smooth gunplay, and that is something that I just don't see, unfortunately, with this game. And I think that it is is possible for them to achieve that, but there is so much balancing that needs to happen, and there's a lot that needs to happen with them deciding like what will be a hit scan, what won't be a hit scan, what the damage drop off will be for like certain distances. They really have to go back to the drawing board with this one. I think that they do have the potential to really make their mark in the competitive battle royale scene, but as Reggie said, balances need to be made and they need to be made fast because there are just so many things that they do differently that could be wonderful, but unfortunately they don't do it well enough as the other big name battle royales who, Fortnite, it has the interesting aspect of building. It's high energy, fast pace, and it has really smooth gunplay. So I feel like that's going to win out every time. So do I think this game is a Fortnite killer? Absolutely not. But I think it does have potential going forward. There's just a lot of work that needs to be done before that happens. So as much fun as I had with this game, I do feel like they have a long way to go before they reach that point.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Very
agree.
well
I
said.
don't think it's gonna definitely Fortnite is its I say this a lot. I think Fortnite is it's pretty much its own genre at this point because of how different it is compared to other VRs. Like I don't think, I know that some people don't like Fortnite, but I think everyone has to agree to some degree that Fortnite did a lot of things right when it comes to, making a big name for itself in that game. Like they just basically created their own genre of battle royales. Um, that being said, I think Hyperscape is still a lot of fun, but yeah, it does need a lot of work. It's hard to see it go competitive if they don't balance these things properly. I mean, we've already seen a lot of complaints um for, controller aim assist, right? That's a
Oh
huge
yeah,
issue in a lot of games.
always.
Um in a hit scan game like this where literally, you can get sniped out in a second. There have been a lot of people complaining about that too already, and it isn't, oh my god, I can't talk. It isn't even, competitive yet. It's just casual, no skill-based matchmaking. There's no ranked playlist yet. Um, and that's gonna be, like, a huge factor going forward because, you don't wanna lose potential, elo just because you
Mhm.
got beamed by someone that was using a controller, right? That it's just a thing that everyone has to deal with.
And speaking of controller, obviously Hyperscape is coming to PS4, Xbox PC later this summer. So what do you think about when it comes to opening up to other consoles and obviously, people playing it on console? Do you think there's going to be kind of there's going to be obviously like a handicap for people who are on console? Do you think there's going to be cross-platform capabilities? And if so, do you think that just the simple fact that some people play it on PC is going to obviously like favor the odds for PC players, or what are your thoughts on like it opening up to other platforms?
I think it would be awesome if it had crossplay. Just because, if you have crossplay, then you can just play with more people, right? I mean, I love, on Fortnite, I loved playing with my community, and not everybody has a PC that could run Fortnite. So a lot of people were on Xbox, a lot of people would even be on the Switch. We'd have players on mobile, on PS4. Like it just made it so that everybody could participate, and I think that's always a good thing. But when it comes to competitive, if competitive were to ever happen on Hyperscape, I do think that they should, keep PC separate from console, and then, just in general, just keep it an option, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't hurt to have the option. But then again, the issue with that is having enough players to actually fill those lobbies, right? So if there's not enough people playing the one platform mode, then, people might end up being forced to play crossplay anyway. So it depends on how big the game gets and how many people actually end up playing it.
Oh, I think Ubisoft definitely has it in them for, they
Mhm.
definitely have the resources and the marketing capabilities to be able to try and push this as far as they can. But then again, I mean, there were developers like, the company that made Crucible, they had Amazon backing them. And even with all of Amazon's money and marketing, they still weren't able to really get that off the ground. And they actually had to repeal it from being released. They unreleased the game so that they could go back to square one. So I guess that's not necessarily an argument whether the company is able to actually get it out. At the end of the day, it really is. I believe that at the end of the day, it really is about the streamability of a game when it comes to a battle royale, because that's where the biggest number of your viewers and people that are interacting with your game are going to come from. There are so many people
Mhm.
that I know that they started playing Fortnite because they saw somebody else play Fortnite on a stream and they were like, that looks really fun. Let me do that. So if your game is exciting and innovative enough that people are going to watch it on stream and say, hey, that is really interesting, I want to get in on this, then I think that they do have a chance. And I do think that that is something that Hyperscape has going for them. This game is very interesting to watch, even if I'm not personally playing it. Like Narz and I watched your stream for a while yesterday, and we had a lot of fun because even the way you as a player, your mobility as a player, your positioning as a player, and the way that you were able to, engage in fights and then disengage, like just all of your game sense was really fascinating to watch. And all of the situations that happen as a result of the viewers voting on what happens in the game makes this such a dynamic thing to watch. So I feel like that could be something that this game has going for it. I just think Ubisoft needs to be really careful about how they are balancing this game and implementing a decent matchmaking system in order to, like, for going forward, to make sure that this game is as balanced as possible. So I feel like this game has potential. I want to know what you guys think, and I would also like to try and, get like your general feelings of this game. Like, what's like, do you guys think this game has potential?
I think it does. I really like it. Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
mean, it's
agree 1000% too.
mhm.
So, we got some we did some research earlier on Twitter to try and see what other big name streamers were saying about this game. There were several different big name streamers that were really starting to enjoy this game, and one of them was Myth, Team
Mhm.
TSM Myth. Um, Zune, I don't know if you have his tweet, the link to his tweet pulled up, but he actually decided to write out everything that he felt after playing this game. He's been streaming this game. He actually was streaming earlier today, and all of his impressions after playing this game and the things that he feels like he should see be fixed. And so, a couple of things that he mentioned, I definitely want to get Reggie's opinion on these things. He said that he feels like the crosshair on the Riot should be different. There should be a different sight color.
Mhm.
He wants to implement a gulag system in solos, not in team, but just in solos. 1v1, same abilities, same weapons, similar
That would
to
be really
Warzone.
cool. That
um,
would
he thinks also remove sniper, replace with a marksman rifle. Changes to the kill notification. You should be able to cock your shotgun while running, and that there should be a game mode where everyone gets the same guns and hacks that change throughout the match. What do you think about these things?
I think that would actually be really I like the game mode idea. I like that. Kind of like what is that in Call of Duty? I think is it
It's
called Gun
Warzone.
Game? No, there's like a mode, it was
Oh,
called Gun Game where like every set amount of time, like everyone's stuff would just change. But it would be fair because everyone had the same thing. So like if everyone's gonna
Mm-hmm.
have, the crap like that one crappy weapon or that one overpowered weapon, like it was just fair game for everybody. I think that would be really interesting. But a
it's
lot
like
of the
Spike
stuff
Rush. Yeah,
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 that
yeah.
art.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I think the gulag system in solos would definitely be good. I love that in Warzone. I wasn't the best at it, but I think it's really cool, and it's not and it's, it's you deserve to come back. It's almost like a loser's bracket in a tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you that second chance because maybe you just got unlucky. And in a battle royale, especially one that's fast paced like this, you could be popping off with, 10 kills in the first 5 minutes and you just happen to get sniped. You're there at the wrong time, or maybe someone just, spammed whatever corner you were hiding in with a million grenades and it was just unfortunate. So it gives you that chance to come back if you really, deserve it. And I think that's really cool. I think that would be really awesome to see.
And how do you feel about the game mode where everyone, I mean, has the same guns, same hacks, change that Spike Rush? You think that's definitely something that should be implemented, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be a lot of fun. Maybe not like for the entire game because imagine queuing up and then, you have to play out this whole 10 to 15-minute game using the exact same stuff the whole time and they may not be the best. Maybe if it like changed every set amount of time. So kind of like how the viewers can vote. They could add that, right? So vote on the next ability
That's
Oh,
or
a
the
I
smart
next
one.
like
pair of abilities,
that.
right? Or, vote on the next weapon.
Oh.
Because then the viewers could choose like, oh, I'd love to see everyone rocking snipers. Then it's a huge sniper battle. Or maybe they want to torture everyone and just give everyone grenade launchers or skybreakers, right? So it would be really awesome to see something like that. And it adds, more potential for interactivity.
That would be very awesome, actually. Now that I think you may have changed my mind a little bit. So when I first read this tweet, my first impression of reading this tweet was that he pretty much all of the things that he had to say, aside from like, I mean, I do agree with him on the crosshair sight colors for certain guns. There
Mhm.
have been instances, even Narz mentioned that she had to change her game mode to the game mode that is, it supports players that might have color blindness. She's not the only person that I've seen that said had to do that. There are many people that have had to do that because the crosshair colors are so janky, and they had to change their game settings in order to support their ability to even do that. There's also some people that say that the kill notification being right above the crosshair when you kill somebody is
Mhm.
unbelievable, because they're like, you're impacting my ability to shoot the next person that I'm trying to kill. Like, you're actually ruining my chances of getting another kill notification. So but when I read, his idea of like implementing a gulag system, and his idea of implementing the gun game mode where it's like everything, it gets like same guns, same hacks throughout the match. It just made me feel like he just wished that this game was similar to other games, because obviously, if you want gulag, go play Warzone. If you want a, gun game or a game mode where everyone has, great equalizer of same guns, same hacks, go play Valorant, Spike Rush, or go play, these other modes in these other games. And I feel like that's a detriment to Hyperscape, which I think what makes Hyperscape so special is that it stands out from these other games, because it really makes its mark. And they made a lot of choices that make it stand out from these, not just other battle royales, but other games on the market, because they made choices that were a little bit daring, but it nonetheless makes it memorable. And so I kind of side-eyed these choices at the beginning, because I was like, well, if they do that, then they're just going to be, copying these other games. And what makes this game so great is that it really does try to break from the mold. But I can understand why a gulag system in specifically solos, not in team-based matches, would be great. And you made a great point. Sometimes you're popping off and you just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. It offers a great opportunity for players. And I think that if they implemented a gun game mode where everyone has the same guns, the same hacks, it would be great, because it could offer another layer to the Crowncast voting system. Because, like you said, I would absolutely love to see a game mode where all of the viewers could vote on which guns and which abilities or hacks that the players have to deal with next. So that could add even another layer of interactivity to the game. So maybe Myth made some points, I guess. Maybe. How do you feel about what Myth said, Nars? Do you agree with him in any of these?
I mean, like, I haven't played the sniper as much. Like, I don't like when I think about the sniper, I think you have to be really accurate with it, because like Reggie was saying, like the best time to use the snipers is probably when someone's aerial, and then you can be able to just snipe them from where you are. And like, I just don't have the spatial awareness to just utilize the sniper, I guess, in my opinion. I do think that like having the crosshairs for Riot would be really, really good, especially since like the game is so visually graphic, like it's very visually stimulating, and you need to be able to differentiate what you're using, like what you're seeing, and what you're actually like from your own UI to what you're seeing on what's going on around you. To be honest, like I have a thing about those walls that you have to break to get into the building. Like, I want that to be changed. I don't I understand, like obviously you have to break them so that people can hear that you're going into them, but just to have to switch to your pole, because you can shoot them, yeah, sure, but like you don't want to waste bullets, and then you have to switch it, and then like if you're met with an enemy on the other side who has a gun, and you have your stupid melee weapon, you're like, woe is me, I'm just gonna get shot, like whatever. And I feel like
Oh.
that's where I have issues, especially since it's like really super fast paced. You have to be really fast in this game, and I don't have time to switch. I feel like the delay in switching to Emily and switching out probably needs to be shorter just a bit, because it's so important to get into the buildings to begin with. Or just make them just walk through them. I don't know. I
Mhm.
don't know. That's my quorum right there.
Yeah.
The fucking doors.
I think eventually they're going to add more features. I mean, it is a beta, so this is the kind of time where they're looking at this type of feedback, and I'm sure that a lot of people are bringing that type of stuff up. You mentioned you have to switch to your melee weapon to break little orange panes. You can on PC. So this is actually a huge difference. And one thing that that I really think that controller needs is the ability to remap your buttons. So on PC, you can actually press one button to instant melee something. So I don't like personally, I don't have to take out my axe or whatever the melee weapon is. I just press V and it breaks it. Like I'm holding a gun out, it automatically switches it to my axe for me, breaks it, and then switches back to the gun in one button. Whereas on controller, from what I've heard, you have to hold a button down. And I actually have seen and have killed players in game because of that delay. So I know when it's a controller play, I was like, why is that guy looking at that for like 3 seconds and before he breaks it? Like, does he not know what he's supposed to do? And I assume that it's just because on controller you just can't do that. So if they should definitely, I think they will add it eventually, add like an instant melee button that you can bind on controller. Similar to that, there's a lot of features that you've seen in other games, like sprinting by default. I don't know about you guys, but I can't
Oh
feel
my
my feet
god,
because
yes.
Oh my god,
I've been
yeah.
holding shift
Yeah.
for like
Yeah.
7 hours a day.
We're
It's
sick of
just
it. We're sick of it.
so I'm sure they hear that type of feedback, and I'm sure, like, I'm without a doubt, it's gonna be there when the full game releases.
I think I was
So
yelling at
Yeah,
Holly
Narz,
before. I was like,
yeah.
Holly, where's the toggle run button? I need the toggle. Where the
It's so most of the MMOs that I play usually have numlock as the toggle run button. So I was like, I don't know, is it numlock? I don't know. But like, no, and then Narz made a great point. I was like, oh my God, Narz, you're right. She was like, why is there an option to just run? There should only be sprint because it was funny because I play a lot of Valorant these days, and going from Valorant to this game is very nutty because when you play this game, you have to play L shift when you play Hyperscape in order to sprint. When you're playing Valorant, it's literally the opposite where you hit L shift to actually walk quietly so nobody hears you. So it's a very weird like remapping you
It's a
have to do in your
flip.
own brain because you're like, no, brain, no, we have to do this to sprint. So there were so many times where it was like I was trying to like be quiet, but then I was hitting L shift and I was like, oh no, that was not what I wanted to do. So I find it pretty crazy that sprinting isn't just the default because I don't personally see
Ever walk.
I don't walk, and I don't see there's no stamina counter that's affecting your ability to just sprint all the time. So I don't know why Ubisoft doesn't just make it sprint all the time. I don't know, it's just a very strange choice for them to make when you consider that there's no benefits to walking. So
Yeah.
absolutely no benefits. Like the whole time you're just running. Like you have to be running. The whole thing is about being mobile and fast paced. Why did you give an option to walk? Just make the default running.
It really is like Reggie read my mind too, because I swear to you that was the next question I was going to ask her. I was like, so Reggie, what do you think about like walking versus sprinting? And then she brought it up on her own.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too is like the reason why I think they might have walking is so that you can crouch, because I figured if you're running and you try to crouch, that's when you slide. So the only way you can crouch is if you're walking. But then again, with how accurate the guns are, like I mean, you could be hip firing and those guns are so accurate. Like you don't even need to crouch. I don't feel like I've ever because that also means you're sitting still, right? Or moving very slowly, and knowing that anybody could be looking at you from, no matter how far away, someone could have their sniper on you and there's literally no delay when they click. You don't want to ever be sitting still and crouching, even if you're sniping. Even if you're sniping, you better be moving because someone else could be sniping you, right? So like I don't know why.
I want to be in that board meeting where the guy was like, what if we made the sniper rifles hit scan? Guys, hear me out. Sniper rifles, but they're hit scan. And I want to see the guy that was like, that's brilliant. Put it in right now. This is amazing. Show stopping. Brilliant. Let's go. Like, I don't know why they thought that was a good idea in a battle royale of all things, but hey, Ubisoft, please, God, nerf the protocol. Please. Thank you. I feel like we've expressed our feelings for this game enough to kind of formulate an opinion on it. I would like it if Narz could kind of break down for everybody what our rating system is so we can try and slap a rating on this bad boy.
Yeah, definitely going to, if we can just throw up the scoreboard. But I definitely wanted to point out also that when it came to this game, I really have to have a very strong I feel like I'm being influenced by Reggie because looking at her gameplay makes me love this game. I know that sounds really weird, but looking at this, I'm just like, yo, this game is awesome. Maybe if I work hard, I can do it. But scoreboard. 1 is a bad game. 2 is I wouldn't play, but I could see why someone would. 3 is I would play. I can see why someone wouldn't. 4 is like a perfect 10 out of 10, but we call it a 4 out of 4, 4 GGs out of 4 GGs. While we're speaking, I definitely want to pull up some gameplay from Reggie because I think there's something about this game that because of and I say this before and I'm going to say it again, because of the high learning curve, you will be met with a lot of your own struggles when it comes to like skill caps and stuff like that. Obviously, the game is considered, I feel like it already has like a spectator sport-esque kind of like to it, but I feel like it really depends on Ubisoft's ability to evolve and cater to local streamers who are playing it. So people who are playing it often, like, you know, like Myth and obviously like Tim the Tatman and everybody else, if they're not vocal about what they like and what they don't like, it's not going to evolve and it's going to kind of stay stagnant. Kind of how Crucible was able to evolve in 2 weeks when people were like very adamant about certain game modes, and so they were able to change it. So if Ubisoft can listen to vocal players, that'll work out. But if they don't, we're going to have this kind of like push and pull struggle of like wanting something that just never will come into fruition, especially since this is Ubisoft's first battle royale, I think, per se, right? Am I wrong? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I think it
believe, but
might
yeah,
be.
it's
I
their
don't know
first
any
foray into
other.
it. Clearly, Assassin's Creed was a battle royale, actually. So the way I played it, it was a battle royale. So. But yeah, so let's go around the table. I want to leave Reggie's rating for last, actually,
Okay.
because I feel like hers should be the only rating that matters.
That matters, yeah.
What?
She played it more than we
Because
did.
she played it way more than we did, and I feel like she plays it at such a more competitive level than we do. We played it way more casually. I did play this game for a while, several hours. If you guys watched my stream, I did put my hours into this game and I did play it. But I just, something's telling me that I just didn't quite get the numbers that Reggie did when I played. So I feel like she could have like a better insight onto this game. So Narz, let's hear from you first. What do you think about this game overall?
Listen, like I'm gonna say this before, I'm not a Fortnite person. My skill cap is very, very low. Like I play Valorant, I play League of Legends. I like shooter games, yes, but this is just there's too much going on for me. Like I just don't have the mental, like I could work at it, I could get good at the game, but I think the amount of time I have to invest into this game to get good is just not enough time that I have. So I'm giving it a 2 out of 4. Like I could see why someone would totally love this game, and I will totally be the type of person in like the audience, like be like, like I would be there watching. I'd be the audience. I would love to be a spectator, but as a person to play the game, I can't. Like I don't have the spatial awareness. I'm just like I'm not from like a Fortnite background, even though it's not very Fortnite-ish, but it's just like battle royales. I feel like the state like it's hard to jump on a new battle royale having seen so many and having had spent so much time with that. It's like, oh, it's exhausting, and I feel like I'm so comfortable with where my skill cap is or where my range is that this is a little bit outside of it. So I'm just gonna like bow my hat and be like, okay, this is for you guys, not for me though. So I'll give it a 2 out of 4.
So I would like to preface this by saying that I have a lot of respect for Ubisoft for putting out this game. I do believe that they really did their homework when it came to understanding what it meant by releasing a battle royale. They weren't just one of these companies that just tried to mindlessly throw out a battle royale to jump on the hype train and make it work somehow. I feel like there were a lot of choices that they made that they tried to stand out from the rest of the battle royale crowd, make it interesting and innovative for the player, and feel like they were experiencing something new rather than just another battle royale. They tried to be different by implementing the restore system and allowing players to, find a way to scout ahead for their team. They allowed players to have a more dynamic gameplay when instead of having a storm moving in, there's different sectors that are disintegrating, so it's hard to anticipate when certain areas are going to be unavailable on the map. They have such a high energy, high mobility gameplay, which I feel is crucial for most new players these days when it comes to battle royales. You have a lot of young players that want the high energy, high excitement gameplay. And I also feel like they realize that the value in streaming these days and why streaming is so popular and why people are giving so much interest in streaming is because it comes from the bond between the viewer and the player, and they want to strengthen that, and they want to really play up the ability for the viewer to feel like they are impacting the player's experience in some way, which is why they implemented the Crowncast add-on and overlay so that the players can experience the choices that are being made by their viewers. And I feel like that is something that could potentially be a groundbreaking add-on for the gaming industry going forward. So I feel like Ubisoft, just for the fact that they really did lay a lot of groundwork for potentially some very interesting, groundbreaking things going forward, deserves my respect. With that being said, I also feel like this game deserves a lot of balancing. There are so many things that need to be reworked. We need a very specific skill-based matchmaking system. We need to rework the janky gunwork system, and we also need to balance a lot of the weapons and the hacks being made. I also think that there's a lot of things that were done with regards to the characters that just felt lazy. It just feels like there's not a lot of work that went into the characters, a lot of care that went into the characters. They all feel like the same thing. So while I feel like overall the design of the game is very aesthetic and it makes a very clear statement, it reminds me of Tron, it reminds me of Ready Player One, there are also a lot of things that I just feel were very lazy and kind of missed the mark. So with all of that being said, I'm going to have to give this game a 2 because I also would not play it myself right now. I had my fun playing it, but I do feel like there are some balances that need to be implemented. But I would see why someone else would play it, and I would especially see why a streamer like Reggie would play it because she ends up making so many incredible plays that it kind of doesn't even matter that the game isn't fully ready to be released yet because a streamer like her is able to make the game seem exciting enough that a person like me will want to watch it or a person like you will want to watch it. So as long as there are streamers like Reggie that can keep making dynamic gameplay, I feel like this game does have a future and has potential. So we're going to give it a 2, but I would want to see more out of this game going forward, and I would love to be able to revisit this and give it a higher score. So with that being said, Reggie, what is going to be your GD score for Hyperscape?
I am going to actually give it a 3. Because I believe that, I think that for an alpha test and even for a beta, I think the game did very, very well on launch. Obviously, there's a lot of balancing that needs to be done, but the game feels really good. It did feel better in the alpha though. And I would assume that's because the open beta just, had a bigger influx of players, right? So maybe they couldn't, the service couldn't handle it. Didn't expect so many people to be playing it all at once. But with all of the integrations, with the interactivity that you could do, especially as a streamer, I really think that everybody should give this a try. Um, Mainly because, it does give you that additional avenue to interact with your viewers in a way that you probably couldn't in pretty much any other game that you've played besides inviting them to your lobby, right? Maybe not everybody wants to play. I know a lot of people that just like watching people play games and not necessarily playing them, right? And this kind of lets you, in a way, play without actually playing, right? Like you can make something happen in a game without even owning the game yourself, as long as you just, just be there for the stream. So, I understand that some people wouldn't play it because it is very, like, it does have quite a bit of a learning curve because of how highly mobile all of the characters are. You know, just the fighting is just super fast paced. Reaction times have to be pretty crazy. Your aim is probably going to have to be really crazy. Um, there's a lot of learning that's going to be involved. It's going to take a lot of practice and a lot of getting used to, even coming from other BRs or especially coming from games like Valorant, right, where everything is super slow and where like you can pretty much predict where enemies might be. Here, like they could be anywhere, and even if you know where they're coming from, they're not always going to be running at you head on. They could be sliding, so their head is bobbing up and down. They could be zipping left and right. Uh, it's just crazy. So I think that every streamer at least should give it a shot because it lets you engage in your community. Uh, but even then, like it's free, right? So even if you're not a streamer, it's worth a shot. Maybe you'll like it, right? Maybe you'll like it. If you don't lose anything. You don't have to like refund it or anything. Like it's free, so you might as well give it a shot, right? Especially if it comes out on console. I'm sure it's gonna be free too. So you never know if you'll enjoy it. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people, thought the same thing about Fortnite, maybe like, oh, I'd never play that Pixar looking game, and then they ended up loving it. And look how big the game is now. Literally everybody's playing it, so you just never know with these types of games.
I feel like Ubisoft should use that for all of their marketing going forward. It's like, it's free, you might as well play it. Like,
Exactly. I mean, there's no harm in trying it. If you don't like it, just don't play it.
Look, you make a
But
great
you
point. It's
never
a free to
know.
play game, and I
Yeah.
think it's only like 8.97 gigs. Like, if I remember
Mhm.
correctly, like it literally just takes up the same amount of space on your computer as Valorant does. So if
Yeah,
you
which
want to
is
try it out,
huge.
just
Yeah.
download it. You're not losing anything except a couple of, gigs of space. But even then, you could just uninstall, man.
Yeah.
Uninstall, bro. Uninstall.
Exactly. And compared to a lot of other games now, like I think Warzone is like 120 gigs or something. Like not
Yeah.
everyone, and even Fortnite is really big. Like people should like this game is running very well for being under 10 gigs. Like it
I will
looks
say, yeah,
beautiful
I
and
was very
it's insane.
surprised.
Yeah. So
Uninstall
it's
Overwatch
definitely
for Hyperscape Crow says that will never happen. Move on. Next question. I would never do that. The game that paid my bills, absolutely not. I think that we have some Reggie gameplay, if I'm not mistaken, that we can show here. I don't know if Zune has it pulled up yet. You can like give me the go ahead there if you do have it. But I definitely would like to see some of the plays. Like I said, Narz and I were watching some of Reggie's streams yesterday, and we were like, oh my God, we definitely need to try and get her on the stream because we want somebody's opinion of this game that is not as casual as ours. Because, I mean, Narz and I, we play a new game every week, so clearly we can't dedicate as many hours as 2 weeks worth of hours as Reggie has to this game in order to give it. So here we have some gameplay pulled up. Reggie, if you want to like explain if you know where this is from.
Okay. Oh, is there audio?
Probably not.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. So this is actually the reason I wanted to show this clip is because that guy was actually invisible, but the audio cues showed where he was. So that's like, yeah. So it's not even just visually stimulating, but like the audio is everything. Like you could hear so much. And this guy was sniping, and I said, "Don't snipe at me, bro." And he didn't even see me coming because I was up in the air. And he went to heal, but then I slammed through the roof of the train.
This is amazing. I love this because it's like you can hide from me, bitch.
This guy was unprepared. He was not ready. Same with this one. I actually didn't see him at first. I was just mid-flight. I was going to zone, I think. And then I saw, because enemies they leave like a red trail when they're running, right? And I guess he was running away from a fight. And he went invisible, and I just happened to catch him. And like when people are invisible, you can hear where they are. And he made the mistake of standing still there. So so there's just so many like different things to think about. Like I guess he didn't consider that I could hear him or something, but and the guy in the train was just completely clueless. Like he did not know what happened.
I also love how Reggie makes such high level plays, and she's like, "Yeah, but it was nothing. It was totally an accident." And Narz and I were sitting here like, "Oh, how did you do this?" But
so tell us about how do you? So what's your play style? What are your like weapons and abilities that you like to main most of all when you go into there? Because I know you have like some that you call your favorites.
So I was running it in that setup actually. So it's the shotgun and the harpy. Mostly the shotgun. So I actually like playing super up close. And the abilities that I run to do this are slam and invisibility. So what I do usually, if I don't get a shot on them right away, is if I see a team, I will literally slam on a team. And when you land a slam, they kind of get knocked up a little bit, so they're kind of airborne, and then I use that opportunity to take a shot at them, right? But because obviously a shotgun is, like just one shot at a time every second or two, I go invisible, so they already got shot at, and depending on how close they were, they could literally be very, very low. I'll go invisible, and they think they're safe, and I just come out of invisibility and just finish them off with either the shotgun or the harpy. and then if I have to, by the time I do that, I can just slam away or maybe slam on their teammates and just repeat.
I feel like we're in Space Jam. Like, come on,
just close quarters. That's my thing. I like going in and out of battles, just killing them one at a time. I mean, there was this one time where this guy thought, like, he hit me, and he thought that, and I hit him, and he thought that I was gone, but I was just standing right in front of him. and he was trying to res somebody and he just got shotgun. Like the invisibility is insane, especially if people aren't aware. Like the first guy in that clip, he didn't know that people can hear you when you're invisible, and same thing, you can hear people when they're invisible. And I guess he didn't utilize that, but so I think that's another thing. Eventually, people are going to start to catch on to these things. People might say that one ability might be more overpowered than the rest, but I think it's also just a matter of just game experience, right? It's just knowing what these abilities can do. At first, I didn't know that mines were so good. I thought like mines, like who would use the mines? And next thing you know, it's ridiculous in solos even. So it's just I love it. I just love knowing that there's just so much to learn about this game and things to get better at.
Reggie, you've taught me so much. I'm just going to invisible and mine everywhere and be that one bitch that runs to the crowd and be like, I got it, bitch. I'm just gonna hide wall up.
Oh, Holly, I think you might be muted.
Yeah, Holly, you might be muted, love.
I was totally muted. My bad. Hi. I think it's also worth noting that like we have a lot of Reggie's community in our chat right now, and I think it's so funny. All of the things that they're typing about her is so funny. They're like, Reggie is a sweat element, shotgun. That's all she needs. They're talking about like her gameplay because obviously these are people that have watched her for hours and hours and hours, and they're just like, we're seeing all these memes about her, and like it seems like you've built like a pretty great community overall. But even just around this game, have you seen a lot of growth in your viewership ever since you've started streaming Hyperscape?
So I tend to I switch games a lot. So I think what happens is, everyone's kind of just used to that. They're kind of just used to me doing my own thing. Like I could be playing Fortnite for 2 years and all of a sudden I switch over and start playing Animal Crossing for 2 weeks. Like that's like I think at this point, I don't know, I guess they could agree that I it's pretty unpredictable what I'll do. But I mean, I'm personally having a blast with Hyperscape. It's given me an opportunity to, let my viewers engage in the game. Like, they can vote. They love giving me low gravity so that I can get sniped out of the air. But it also lets me play with other streamers too, because a lot of people are playing this game right now because it's new and it's just super exciting. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of, potential for this game, especially once, it gets out there with the full release. Not a lot of people know about Hyperscape. I mean, I post a clip and people are still asking me, what game is that? Right? So what Hyperscape did with this game was they didn't actually build it up the way that Valorant did. So Valorant, there was a lot of trailers that came out leading up to the beta. But this one, like the founders kept it quiet and then only announced it pretty much like on the day of or even the day before. So it kind of just appeared out of nowhere. I mean, I didn't hear about it until literally the day before it dropped. Right? So I think once the game gets out there, there's like a lot of potential for this game in terms of viewership too.
So do you have any potential tips for Hyperscape players, perhaps people such as Narz and myself who are new to this and would desperately, desperately like to get better?
So the biggest thing, well, for mouse and keyboard especially,
Mhm.
because aim is such a huge factor in this, and I see a lot of people make this mistake is playing with too high of a sensitivity on their mouse.
Mm.
So the biggest thing when it comes to aim is if it's too high and it's too fast to control, just lower it down. It doesn't have to be ridiculously low. So you'll see people with very, very, very low sensitivities on games like Valorant, or CS:GO. But in a game like this, it could be, a little bit higher than that, but just not too fast. Just the perfect balance between being able to react to pretty much 360 degrees of area like space around you. But while being able to maintain, tracking an enemy, lining up a shot so that you can snipe them. That's probably the biggest thing is just aim. And, it all comes with practice. A lot of times, I'm watching streamers and they're like, "How did I get killed here?" Well, it's because you're running out in the open. So maybe after like, you killed that guy, use your abilities. There's so like the abilities in these games have insanely low cooldowns. You can literally take advantage of it. So just, make sure you utilize everything in your kit. Another big thing is, sometimes these abilities are usable in very unpredictable environments. Slam is one ability that people use to get very, very high up, but You can also use Slam inside a building to immediately dish out damage to someone who's too close to you, right? So little things like that, that you may not think of at first when you kind of just learn it up with experience, are very, very useful to keep in mind. But at the end of the day, it's really just, I guess, just practice. I mean, I'm still learning. Everybody's still learning, so we're all gonna learn together.
This just in. Reggie just told us to get good.
Wait.
Okay, so before we wrap this up, I would like to just get final thoughts overall on this game. Let's start with you, Narz. Final thoughts before anything that you maybe forgot to say throughout this episode. How are you feeling about this game after the review?
It's gonna definitely be opportunities for it to grow. There's absolutely a lot of potential. It's just if you're the type of old timer that can't be able to play fast games, this is not the game for you. This is not for like older millennials who have a hard time with Fortnite. This is not for you. But I love the interactivity component. I want to see more of that. I want to see more of opportunities of streamers. Like I think and I hope that Ubisoft will kind of create like a partner program where people like Reggie can like be content creators and working closely with Ubisoft to make this game even better. And I think that's really what's going to help it blossom is people like Reggie who are constantly playing it, but also benefiting from playing it, either having early access to game modes or just like being able to give away cool swag. I feel like there's a lot of potential, so we're just going to have to see what Ubi does.
So I think that personally, Ubisoft has done a lot with this game that really primes this game for being a spectacle. You know, like I feel like they've really built this game up. They've done a lot of things that make it unique in its own way and also make it perfect and poised to be something that is very interesting to watch, even on the competitive level. So I'm talking things like the high mobility of this game, all of the abilities that are adding a certain spice to this game where it allows you to do different things. It's not just a battle royale like PUBG where you're just going through the motions of dropping pachinki, picking up loot, killing your opponents, just moving into the circle. We're talking about dynamic things in this game where you have abilities that could potentially add to your mobility or allow you to engage or disengage from team fights in a very dynamic way. We're talking a map that doesn't just disintegrate in a linear or circular way. We're talking about a map that actually disintegrates in an erratic and random pattern that allows the players to always have a necessity to be on their feet and to constantly be aware of their surroundings. So I think that there is so much about this game that is poised to make it so interesting and dynamic for the viewers to be encouraged to watch, even from the aspect of the crown cast where viewers feel like they have a certain level of interactivity. So do I feel like this game has boundless potential for its viewability? Absolutely. And like I said before, I think that the future of this game hinges on players like Reggie who have the ability to make this game very dynamic and interesting to watch, because even I, a player who's absolutely trash garbage, caca at this game, still like this game because I like it when I watch Reggie play and absolutely pop off. Like Chad keeps saying, Reggie is just better, get good. That is exactly how I feel. Like that's just how it is. So I think that the future of this game is something that Ubisoft has really capitalized on, which is its ability and streamability. I think the streamability of a game should be even a future thing that we judge a game on, is its streamability and whether people would respond well to having this game be laid in front of them and for them to interact with and watch on chat. So do I feel like this game has a future? Absolutely. But obviously there's some things that Ubisoft has to work out. So with that being said, Reggie, final thoughts on Hyperscape, the game that you have been tirelessly streaming for the last 2 weeks.
Overall, I think it's had a very, very good. It had a really good technical test. A lot of the stuff right off the bat was very impressive. The interactivity is a huge plus, especially with like the Twitch extension. I think it's really, really cool, and I think they can do a lot with that. And I think they really need to take advantage of potentially being like, I don't know a lot of games that do that. At least not a lot of the games that I play have anything remotely close to that. I think it's really cool, and they should definitely add some more features to it, because eventually people are going to get tired of just being able to vote, right? They want to be able to do more than just that. So hopefully they do that. Hopefully they add a toggle for it as well, because there's also going to be people who just want to watch, right? It's nice to have the option of interactivity, But personally, I think there should be an option to just turn it off completely, without having the streamer taking it down. Because if you just want to, like, let's say you have the stream up and you're cooking or something, the little extension pops out and you can't close it unless you manually close it or you vote, right? So the only way, like, I don't know if I mean, there's probably a way to toggle it, but if there was like an easier way to do it, because I couldn't figure it out at first, so maybe something like that. But overall, I think the game runs very well. Hopefully, they do more to promote it, because with any battle royale, each lobby requiring 100 players, it's going to require a lot of players, right? Otherwise, you're going to end up with very long queue times, or you're going to be overrun with, I don't know, hackers, maybe even. I think they need to promote it some more. Like you said, maybe add some kind of like creator program to it. So what Fortnite did was, with the creator codes, you could put in a creator's code and they can get commissions whenever you buy something in the item shop. So maybe something like that, so that people are incentivized to promote it. I mean, I would play this game no matter what. Like, I really enjoy it, but to get like the really, really big streamers to play it, I think they need to do something like that, because that's like, that stuff went crazy on Fortnite and it pulled in a lot of people, and it created like this type of environment where everyone wanted, being able to support somebody, sometimes is a huge motive when it comes to buying stuff, right? Like, there's people who literally would ask, like, can you switch over, uh because on Mixer we had like this thing where you could directly purchase from a stream, and we would basically get paid like a small amount. It's kind of like a creator code program for it. So there's different ways like that where you could buy V-Bucks, instead of buying it directly into the store from the store, as long as you were benefiting the creator, and they wouldn't have otherwise done it. So if Hyperscape did something like that, then maybe they would get more money into it. They could put that into developing it, and just overall just grow the game. But overall, I think it's got a good future. Hopefully, I just don't want to see it overrun by hackers, because right now there's quite a bit of hackers in the
Yeah.
game. There are,
Uh-oh.
yeah. So they just got a lot of work to do. But I think it's, on like in the surface, it looks good. I think it has a lot of potential.
Okay, well, Ubisoft, you've heard our demands, so you have 24 hours to respond. I'm just kidding. All right, so I think that about wraps it up. I feel like we've kind of said everything that needs to be said here. Reggie, why don't you go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you on social media and streaming platforms?
Okay, so you can find me on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. I recently just made TikTok, but pretty much anywhere, even on Twitch, you can find me as AhhReggi. So fortunately, my username is the same across all socials, so you can find me pretty much anywhere as AhhReggi. Yeah.
All right, so Nars, where can we find you?
Same thing. You can find me at Narz, Narz on Instagram and Twitter. The only thing is that it's at twitch.tv/Narz with 4 Z's, because I don't have the first one. We have a donation fund if you want to help me out with
We're
that.
campaigning. We're campaigning.
We're campaigning so that I can get twitch.tv/Narz. If you want to be a part of it, check me out on Twitter. But yeah, you can find me at NARZ. Thank y'all.
Okay. I am at HollyPeppermint on all socials. That includes Instagram and Twitter, twitch.tv/HollyPeppermint. I finally just implemented a solidified streaming schedule, so we'll see if we can actually make that happen. I was streaming a lot of Hyperscape this week, as you can tell. If you'd like to check out more of the 368 brand, we are at 368 on Twitter and Instagram. Right here on Twitch, as you know, because you are here, we are twitch.tv/368NYC. We do this show, 368 GG Reviews, every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also do a show every single Thursday, which is called Super Late at 368, which is hosted by Gabe and Bijan, and it will be this week in gaming culture. And that one is also at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow we have guest, former Twitch, she's a former Mixer partner, current Twitch partner. My God, she is a current and very happy Twitch partner, former Mixer partner, Cooley Smiley. So she will be joining us tomorrow tomorrow to talk about her experience of transplanting her community from Mixer to Twitch. And we also do intermittently some shows throughout the week. And we also have a YouTube channel, 368, where we upload different projects. Our most recent project was the Elgato Wave project, where we talk about the mic, which I'm actually using right now, which is the Wave 3, which is literally the best thing I've ever used in my life. So if you'd like to follow us on social, you can go ahead and do that. I'm actually going to put a command in chat right now, which will help you peep our socials. Once again, we are 368 GG Reviews, and the game of the week next week, Narz?
I believe it's Arena. Wait.
It's Rocket Arena, right?
Rocket Arena, yes. We're gonna be
Oh.
playing
Okay.
Rocket Arena. We got some codes as well. So if you guys are looking forward to or considering getting the game or wanting to get the game, we'll probably be giving away some keys. So be sure to tune in next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we review Rocket Arena. And if you want to check out our streams, because we'll be streaming it on our streams beforehand, be sure to check us out on our Twitter and Instagram stream.
I'm very excited because that game looks cute as hell. So shout out to EA for giving us those codes, because this game looks very, very fun.
I can't wait.
All right, so we're going to be rating Out Trumped after this by the request of Reggie. So stick around if you want to see some of their stream. Otherwise, that's going to do it for this week's 368 GG Reviews. I'm Holly.
And I'm Narz. And guys, we will see you next week on GG Reviews. Thank you,
See you
guys.
later.